Somewhere in the world while you're listening to this, someone is staring at a phone. 3 small dots have appeared on the screen, the ones that say a message is being typed. The dots fade, the dots return, they fade again, and in the space between those disappearing dots, a small storm is rising in a person's chest, a quiet tightening, a question that has no words yet, only a feeling. What are they writing? What are they not writing? Why is it taking so long? Are they pulling away? Did I say something wrong? Somewhere else, someone is reading a loving text. The words are kind. The words are sincere. And yet, instead of softening, something in this person quietly stiffens. They put the phone down. They promise themselves they will respond later, when they have time, when they feel like it. Underneath, barely noticed, is a small impulse to step back, to make some room, to not need this just yet. These 2 people have never met. Their lives are different. But if you could slow time down and look closely at what is happening in their bodies, you would see something similar. You would see how they have learned to process a threat to their sense of safety with important others, a learning that started long before either of them could spell the word love. Tonight we are going to talk about that learning. We are going to talk about attachment, not as an idea from a textbook, but as the quiet pattern that lives in you and in everyone you love, the way you reach, the way you retreat, the way you read silence, the way you handle the closeness and the distance that every real relationship brings. This episode is meant to be listened to gently. You do not have to follow every word. You do not have to diagnose yourself. You do not have to figure anything out. Just let the ideas be ideas for a few moments without interpreting what they mean to you. Notice what feels familiar. Notice what softens something. We are not trying to change anything tonight. We are only trying to see. Let us begin where attachment begins. Before you had a name, before you had language, before you had memory as you now know it, you were already learning about love. You did not know you were learning. No one told you this was a lesson, but your nervous system was taking notes, careful and constant, about one essential question. When I need someone, will someone be there? That was the question underneath everything. When you cried, someone came, or someone did not come. When you reached, someone reached back, or someone did not. When you were frightened, someone soothed you, or you were left to soothe yourself. When you were joyful, someone smiled with you, or you smiled alone. 1,000 small moments, most of them unremarkable, stitched themselves together into a pattern, the pattern of what to expect, a pattern that predicted whether the world was reliable, a pattern that predicted whether love could be trusted. This is not a story about blame. The adults around you were doing the best they could with what they had. They had their own patterns, carried down through their own childhoods, passed to them by people who also did the best they could. Most of what happens in the early years of a life happens without anyone meaning for it to happen at all. It is simply the culture of a household, the rhythm of how stress is handled, the speed at which a cry is answered, the warmth of an arrival home. And from that culture, you learned. You learned whether to reach or to retreat. You learned whether to expect comfort or to expect disappointment. You learned whether to show your needs openly or to hide them carefully. You learned whether love would come back if it went away for a little while. These learnings did not just inform your childhood. They followed you. They followed you into your first crush, your first friendship, your first heartbreak. They followed you into your marriage, into your parenting, into the way You pick up the phone when someone you love is upset. They are with you now. Researchers have given names to the patterns that emerge from all this early learning. The names are useful, and we will use them, but please hold the names loosely. A name is a pointer, not a prison. No one is only one thing, and no pattern, no matter how old, is permanent. Let us meet the patterns one by one. First, the anxious pattern. Meet Elena. Elena is 34. She is kind, she is funny, she loves the person she is with. And tonight, like many nights, she is holding her phone a little too tightly. Her partner went out with friends 2 hours ago. The last message was warm. The last kiss was real. Nothing has gone wrong. And yet, somewhere around the 90-minute mark, a quiet alarm began ringing inside Elena's chest. A small voice started asking questions. Why has he not checked in? Is he having more fun without me? Did I annoy him before he left? Should I text? Should I wait? If I text now, will I seem needy? If I do not text, will he forget me? None of this is rational. Elena knows it is not rational. In the morning, she will roll her eyes at herself and laugh and call it her anxious brain. But tonight, in this moment, it does not feel like anxiety. It feels like truth. It feels like danger. Her body is quite certain that something is wrong, and her body has always been quite certain that something is wrong, for as long as she can remember. This is the anxious pattern, and if you recognize yourself in Elena, please hear this first. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not too much. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You have a nervous system that learned, long ago, that love was something you had to watch carefully. Maybe because a parent was warm sometimes and distracted other times. Maybe because attention was unpredictable and you had to work to earn it, and you never quite knew when it would be taken away. Maybe because someone you needed was sometimes there and sometimes not, and the not was terrifying. So you learned to monitor. You learned to read faces, to measure tones, to hear the thing underneath the thing. You became an expert in other people's moods, because other people's moods were the predictors of what felt like your chance of survival. And that skill, that watchfulness, came with you into adulthood. It shows up now as checking the phone, as reading into silences, as feeling certain your partner is angry when your partner is only tired, as needing reassurance and then needing it again, because the reassurance never quite lands for long. The anxious pattern is not neediness, even if others accuse you of it. It is an old loyalty to watchfulness. It is a child's brilliant solution to an unpredictable world, still running the program long after the child has grown. The work, when you are ready for it, is not to shame the watchfulness, but to thank it, to tell it, gently, that the threat it keeps scanning for is no longer there, that it is safe to put the binoculars down. That love, the real kind, does not require you to track it every moment to keep it from disappearing. This takes time, this takes practice, but it begins with seeing that the alarm in your chest is not the truth about your relationship. It is a message from a younger you, asking to finally feel safe. Next, the avoidant pattern. Now meet Theo. Theo is 36. He is thoughtful. He is capable. He loves the person he is with. And tonight, like many nights, something in him has gone quiet. His partner wants to talk, not about anything terrible. She just wants to check in, to feel close, to ask him how he is doing underneath the surface of the week. And as soon as she says the words, "How are you doing?" Theo feels something in his chest close like a door. His face stays friendly. His voice stays calm. but inside, a familiar flatness spreads through him. He gives her a short answer. He changes the subject. He suggests they watch something. She looks at him for a long moment, and then lets it go. Theo does not know quite why he does this. He would tell you, honestly, that he loves his partner. He would tell you he wants to be close. But when closeness comes toward him, especially the kind that asks him to open, he feels it as something like pressure, something to be managed, something to step away from, just a little, until he can breathe again. This is the avoidant pattern. And if you recognize yourself in Theo, please hear this too. There is nothing wrong with you either. You are not cold. You are not broken. You are not incapable of love. You have a nervous system that learned, long ago, that needing people came with a cost. Maybe because the adults in your life could not quite hold your big feelings. Maybe because you learned that showing your needs led to being dismissed, or teased, or left alone to figure it out. Maybe because independence was quietly praised in your family, and dependence was quietly disappointing. So you learned to self-contain. You learned to handle things on your own. You learned that wanting too much was dangerous, and that the safest way to stay whole was to want less. You became good at it. You became proud of it. You built a life where you rarely had to ask anyone for anything, and that life felt free, and that life felt safe. The avoidant pattern is not coldness. It is an old loyalty to self-protection. It is a child's brilliant solution to a world where needing hurt, still running the program long after the child has grown. It shows up now as the small step back when your partner steps closer, as the tight feeling in your chest when someone asks you how you really are, as the need for long stretches of alone time, not because you do not love, but because love itself is tiring in a way you cannot quite explain. The work, when you are ready for it, is not to force yourself open. Force does not work here. The work is to slowly let yourself notice that the closeness in front of you is not the closeness that once hurt. That this person, this relationship, this moment is a new thing, that your door can open a little, and then close, and then open again, and nothing terrible will happen. This takes time. This takes practice, but it begins with seeing. Seeing that the flatness you feel is not the truth about your partner. It is a hangover of sorts from an earlier time. A hangover that it's time to recover from. Next, the disorganized pattern. There is a third pattern, and we must speak about it with care. It is less tidy than the first two. It is sometimes called disorganized, sometimes called fearful avoidant, and it lives in people who want closeness and fear, closeness at the same time, often in the same breath. Imagine reaching for a warm cup of coffee, and just as your fingers are about to touch it, pulling your hand back, then reaching again, then pulling back again. That is something of what it feels like inside. When love comes close, the wanting is real, the fear is also real, and the two of them take turns being in charge, sometimes within the same conversation. People who live with this pattern often had early experiences where the people they needed for comfort were also, sometimes, the people who frightened them or confused them, not always in dramatic ways. Sometimes just in the quiet inconsistency of a home that could not hold steady. The child's nervous system faced an impossible task. Move toward this person for safety. Move away from this person to stay safe. There was no good answer, so the system learned to do both, at once, forever. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, know this. You are not broken. You are not impossible to love. You are someone who is carrying a harder puzzle than most, and you are carrying it with a bravery you may not even see in yourself. This pattern often softens with time, with safety, with relationships that stay steady when you push and pull, and most often with the support of a good therapist who can walk with you while the younger parts of you slowly learn that the reaching and the retreating do not both have to be true anymore. We have moved through these challenging patterns quickly tonight because this is not the place for deep diagnosis. What matters is the larger truth underneath all three. No one chose their pattern. Everyone's pattern made perfect sense once, and every pattern can soften. Finally, the secure pattern and what it actually feels like. So what is the other option? What does it look like when a nervous system is not running an old alarm, not closing an old door, not reaching and retreating in the same motion? What does it look like to feel secure? Let us be honest first about what secure is not. Secure is not never anxious. Secure is not always calm. Secure is not a person who never gets jealous, never gets distant, never misreads a silence. Anyone selling you that version of secure is selling you a fairy tale. Real people, even the most steady ones, still have moments of worry, moments of pulling away, moments of needing reassurance. What makes them secure is not the absence of these feelings. It is the relationship they have with these feelings. Secure feels like a quiet background sense that disagreement does not mean danger or abandonment. If your partner is in a bad mood, something in you does not immediately conclude that the relationship is ending or that you have done something wrong. You can hold the thought, this is their mood, not a message about me, and the thought can actually settle you. Secure feels like being able to need someone without feeling ashamed of needing. You can say, I am having a hard day, and I would love a hug. And the asking does not feel like a confession of weakness. It feels like a normal request between two people who care about each other. Secure feels like being able to be needed without feeling overwhelmed. Your partner comes to you with something heavy, and you can be present with them, and their heaviness does not become your prison. You can care deeply and still have a self. Secure feels like being able to tolerate distance. Your partner takes a weekend with friends, and you feel mostly fine. Maybe you miss them. Maybe there is a small ache, but the ache does not become a catastrophe. You trust that they are still yours and still themselves, even when they are not in the room. Secure feels like being able to repair. When you fight, and you will fight, you can come back together. You can say, I am sorry, or I see now what you meant, or that was hard, let me try again. The repair is not always graceful, but it happens, and the relationship becomes stronger, not weaker, in the places where you have repaired. If this sounds unreachable, please do not lose heart. Many people did not grow up with a pattern of security. Many people are learning it for the first time in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. Secure attachment is not a place you were born into or missed. It is a direction you can move toward, slowly, over years, in the company of safe people and with patience for yourself. Which brings us to the most important idea tonight, the one I most want you to carry with you into sleep. It is earned security. Attachment is not a sentence. It is not a personality. It is not a diagnosis you were handed before you could speak. Attachment is a pattern, and patterns, even very old ones, can change. Researchers have a term for what happens when someone who grew up insecure, through one path or another, becomes secure over time. They call it earned security. Earned, because no one hands it to you. You build it, moment by moment, in the quiet work of your daily life. Earned, because the shape of your early years does not have to be the shape of your later ones. Earned, because the story is not yet finished. People earn security in many ways. Some earn it through therapy, where the slow, careful work of being heard by someone steady begins to rewrite the body's old expectations. Some earn it through a long relationship with a partner whose own steadiness, over years, teaches their nervous system that love can stay. Some earn it through deep friendship, some through spiritual practice, or through becoming a parent who chooses, with intention, to do things differently. Most earn it through some combination, a little from each, across a lifetime. What earns security is not perfection. It is not never struggling. What earns security is repeated. Small experiences of a different ending to the old story, the text that comes back warm, even when you were braced for coldness, the partner who stays close when you push them away, and so teaches you that pushing them away does not mean losing them. The friend who asks how you really are and does not flinch at the answer. The therapist who remains, week after week, through your hardest moments. These are the experiences that slowly revise what your body believes. And here is a gentler truth still. Much of what looks like personality in love is actually practice. The way you text, the way you fight, the way you withdraw, the way you seek reassurance. These are not who you are. They are what you have done so far. They are patterns that have grooves worn into them by repetition. And grooves can be softened. New grooves can be carved. Not overnight, not by willpower alone, but over time, with awareness and with company. Yes, let us come back now to where we started, to the two people we met at the very beginning, the one watching the 3 dots appear and disappear, the one putting the loving text down and telling themselves they will answer later. Maybe one of them sounded a little like you, maybe both of them, in different moods, on different days, sound a little like you. Maybe neither of them does. And it is a pattern we have not quite named tonight that feels most familiar in your own chest. Whichever it is, I want to offer you this. You do not have to fix anything tonight. You do not have to solve your attachment pattern in the next 10 minutes. You do not have to become a different person before you fall asleep. All I want to offer you is the smallest thing, which is also, quietly, the first thing. See it. See your pattern. See the way you reach in the way you retreat. See the alarm that rings too early in your chest, or the door that closes too quickly in your mind. See it the way you might see a child who has been carrying something heavy for a very long time. Not with judgment, not with a plan to change them yet, just with a soft surprise of noticing, oh, there you are. I see what you have been doing. I see why. Because seeing is the first movement. Before the work, before the change, before the earned security that is absolutely, genuinely available to you over time. Before any of that, there is just this, the quiet moment of recognition, the moment when the pattern stops being invisible and becomes, for the first time, something you can see and feel. That moment is enough for tonight. If you are lying in bed as you listen, let your shoulders soften, let your jaw unclench. If there is a younger version of you inside your chest, the one who first learned to reach or to retreat, you might offer them something simple. You might say, I see you. You did what you had to do. You kept us alive. And now, slowly, we are going to learn something new together. Then let the thought go. Let the breath go long. Let the room around you become quiet again. The patterns will still be there in the morning, but so will you. And you are learning, and that is already a beginning. Rest well.